Woman of Reddit, what is your, I am the client not my husband stop ignoring me story? My old teacher told me a story about a cold caller. A man phoned the house phone. This was around the 80s 90s when people still had house phones, asking for the man of the house to talk about changing supplier for something or other. My teacher, a woman, told the man that her husband was away on a business trip and to call back the next day. He called the next day, again asking for the man of the house, and she informed him that her husband had been delayed and to call back the next day. He called the next day, and she informed him that due to bad weather his flight had been delayed until later on that night, so please call back the next day. He called the next day, she put her husband on, the man asked about changing to his company's service. The husband informing him that his wife dealt with all the bills and please talk to her. My teacher took the phone, said no thank you and hung up. This is amazing, the level of petty I could only aspire to be. Trying to collect a parcel from the post office that was addressed to both me and my husband. Was told that my husband had to come to collect it. I asked whether they meant both of us had to be there and the response was no, just him. Needless to say I was not happy and after a while arguing they gave me the parcel. Ugh, this sucks. Genuinely one of the most surprising to me, I'm sure my partner wasn't surprised, things that I've experienced was when a parcel was delivered to our local post office and the guy behind the counter couldn't find it so he told my partner it wasn't delivered. No matter how much she argued, offered to show him her delivery notification email, or demanded he check again, he condescendingly said it's not here darling, come back another day. I went immediately afterwards, he said it's not here and I said go check. That's it, that's all I said. I had no great argument and no new evidence but I was a man telling him what to do so he did it. He came back with our parcel and acted like there was nothing wrong, like my partner hadn't just come back nearly in tears over a confrontation with a dickhead too sexist to even consider listening to a woman once he'd decided he knew better. Ducking hell, that sucks. Selfishly, it's always a little vindicating when it happens in front of a man. I feel like saying see. I'm not crazy. This happens. I think it's because my dad and brother would always make it seem like it hadn't really happened that way, or we were exaggerating, or we did something to provoke the sexist reaction. Luckily my husband gets it. He always deals with mechanics for this reason. This August I bought a new truck and took my boyfriend with. He is white and I am Mexican. We arrived at the dealership and I asked about the Explorer they had front and center. Salesman comes over and is asking a bunch of questions to my BF. He told him it's for me. I was ignored for the entire conversation. I got up and started looking at the truck. A Hispanic salesman comes and asked me if I need help. I was out of there within 1.5 hours, keys in hand. Found my BF with the other salesman. I looked at BF and said I bought the one I wanted. Manny G got me squared away. The look of utter disappointment and anger on the guy's face was worth it. My BF chuckled and said I told you she was the one buying. Manny, you were great. Oh man, the schadenfreude of this one is so good. Manny knew what was up and saw an easy sale, just listen to the customer. Makes you wonder how many sales Manny gets off that guy. Many sales may be made. Happened to my mom when we went to look at colleges. The admissions guy opened by shaking my dad's hand, constantly directed questions at my dad, and would look to him for confirmation whenever my mom said something. My mom is de facto the money person of our family unit. She manages the family finances and investments and stuff, and was way more qualified to comment on things like student loans or expected contribution. When we left that meeting she was absolutely furious that she had to basically fight the admissions person to have a normal conversation. I am the money person in our relationship and this happens to me all the time. Every car we've bought, place we've rented, investment we've made, you name it. My husband is now very confident in telling the people that if they keep trying to talk to him about it, the only decision he will be able to make is telling them to get lost. Edit, my first gold. Thank you. Lol, my mom made my dad return a car when she found out what he paid for it, then got the same car for far less, thousands less. She's the real life Peggy Hill Ada, Season 12 Episode 13 y'all. Educate your damn selves before you come for Ms. Peggy, escúchame? Y'all pay sticker price and not a penny more. I sold that man 5 vehicles for the sticker price. When I had my appendix taken out, I asked my doctor when sex would be okay again. He turned to my husband and said whenever you feel ready, you can begin sexual relations again. I don't know if he was uncomfortable talking to me about it, or was deferring to what my husband would prefer. Either way, it was strange. I've had a gynecologist speak only to my husband. I wanted to scream he doesn't have a vagina, but I was too shocked. I don't go into the office with my sew. I sit in the waiting room with her. When she gets called in, I ask her if she'd like some company, and she always says no. I always ask because she might want privacy, or she might want me there for better understanding or something, but I'm effectively just the driver for her appointments. If she wants me in the room, fine, I'm in. If she wants privacy, fine, I'm just outside. I've had a doctor, general practitioner, not gynecologist, ask me a question on her behalf one time, and she was perfectly able to answer at the time. I shrugged and said I dunno, ask her, it's her stomach. She's a lot of things to me, but she's not my car, lol. Don't ask me for her symptoms. I read your comment like you were just talking about the gynecologist and not the doctor office in general. That made the I dunno, it's her stomach even funnier. We were looking into replacing our roof and found a metal roof company who was running a promotion, so I gave them a call and scheduled for someone to come out and give us a. I was able to answer all of his questions, but he refused to give me a without my husband present, with some sign before we leave for best price excuse, and was intent on driving back over the following day, when my husband would be home. I called their main office shortly after he left and said I wasn't interested in any high-pressure sales tactics, I just wanted a, and if they wouldn't give that to me, the one who would be paying for it, then to not bother coming back out. Didn't see them again. The 3 other roofing companies I contacted had no problem dealing solely with me. I had this with a new patio door. He walked in, looked me up and down and outright asked if I had permission to make a decision on whether to accept their. When I said I had that power but wouldn't be making a decision until I had spoken to a few more companies, he said he had better come back when the man is around to sort this out. I told him he wasn't welcome back in my house and I would take my business elsewhere. Their follow-up customer service call employee got a right ear full when they rang a few days later to see if my husband and I had had any more thoughts on the matter. Oh, I had some thoughts. Do you have permission? The duck century did that knuckle-dragger think it was? Jesus. I've worked in sales, and if I was working with a potential client that was female or male, I always just assumed the person who came is the right person to talk to. If a couple came in, or a parent and child, I would always tailor questions to try and determine who was making the decision, and if it wasn't clear, like it is in my family dynamic, I wouldn't assume, I would just engage equally. It's not that hard. My husband and I had our backyard completely dug up and re-landscaped when we bought our house. The landscaper was an older guy, probably around my dad's age, and my husband and I are pretty young to be homeowners, so I could kinda understand this dude's condescending attitude. When he came over the first time to do the estimate, he almost exclusively addressed my husband, even though I'd made it clear I was the one who was doing the designing and knew what I wanted done. When the work was done and I paid him, he kept looking behind me for my husband, and almost didn't give me the aftercare instructions for the new sod, saying he wanted to make sure it was done right so he'd email them to my husband. I finally snapped, "Give me the damn piece of paper, Bruce. I'm the one who will be home during the day to do the damn thing." I worked nights at the time. He reluctantly handed it over and called my husband the next day to make sure the lawn got watered. My husband told him, "You'd have to ask her, Bruce. She told you she'd do the damn thing," and hung up. I had, indeed, done the damn thing. Shoulda told him to sod off. Oh hot damn. I really missed an opportunity with that one. Auto repair. Happens a lot. One time I described the problem to the guy at the desk as a clicking when I turned the key and asked if they'd check the timing belt. They said I'd have to leave it, so my husband arrived 10 minutes later to pick me up. The mechanic came out and asked him what was going on with the car, never looking at me. I finally asked if he'd checked the timing belts as I'd asked the guy at the desk to do. He had not. Gotta say, mad turned to cocky when it turned out to be the timing belt. After having mechanics talk to my husband about my car many times, I don't bring him with me anymore because I got sick of it. They still don't listen to me. Well, my old garage didn't. I described a rhythmic vibration that seemed to be coming from the front passenger side. Well, that was only happening at 60 to 70 miles per hour. Guy calls up later to say there was no knocking noise at 30 miles per hour. Ended up taking it to another garage that wasn't part of a chain, and they diagnosed and fixed the problem for a fraction of the price because they actually ducking listened to what I said when I brought it in. For those asking, the rear passenger tire was badly deformed. Replacing it fixed the issue.